The Alien Girl Next Door. I used to think nothing ever happened on Meadow Ridge Lane. The lawns were perfect, the mailboxes matched, and the air smelled faintly of cut grass and distant barbecue. It was the kind of neighborhood where everyone knew what kind of car you drove, how often you mowed your lawn, and when your trash bins were slightly out of line. Ordinary, predictable, boring. And that's why what happened felt so impossible. Because monsters don't come to places like Meadow Ridge Lane, except one did. And she looked like a girl. It began on a Tuesday night in early spring. Around midnight, a moving truck pulled up to the house across the street. I watched from my bedroom window, the blinds tilted just enough to keep me hidden. The truck's headlights cut across the empty road, painting the windows in pale gold before switching off. Then came silence. I waited for the usual sounds of a move, doors slamming, boxes dragging, but nothing. Just the faint hum of the truck's engine and the soft scrape of shoes on the pavement. A girl stepped down from the back. She was my age, maybe 16, barefoot. Her hair was wet like she'd just stepped out of a storm, though the sky was dry and the air was still. She looked around slowly, her head turning with this strange, deliberate precision, like she was memorizing everything she saw. Then she looked up, straight at me. My heart skipped. Her eyes caught the porch light and flashed in a way that wasn't normal. Not a reflection, not a trick. It was alive, like something beneath her skin was glowing. I ducked behind the blinds, pulse hammering. When I looked again, she was gone. The truck still idled for a minute, then rolled away down the hill, red lights fading. The house across the street stayed dark. No one ever saw anyone move in after that. The next morning, I walked to school past the yellow house. The mailbox still had the old family's name scratched off with black paint, no new name added. The curtains were drawn tight and the front door was chained. But in the driveway, there were footprints. Not shoe prints, bare ones. Small, narrow. And the strange thing was, they weren't in a straight line. They started at the sidewalk and stopped halfway to the door, like whoever left them had vanished mid-step. By lunch that day, everyone at school knew we had a new neighbor. I didn't say anything, but I watched the hallways like something might appear there. And then she did. She walked in during second period biology, the principal trailing her like he wasn't sure what to say. The teacher looked surprised, but smiled anyway. "Class," he said, "this is Aria. She just moved here." The girl nodded once, scanning the room with that same slow calculation I'd seen the night before. Her eyes passed over everyone and landed on me. A shiver ran through my chest. The teacher pointed. "You can take the seat next to Daniel." That was me. My heart sank. She walked toward me, her steps perfectly even, soundless. When she sat down, she didn't look at me, didn't unpack anything. Just placed her hands flat on the desk and stared straight ahead. Up close, she didn't look weird. She looked perfect. Too perfect. Skin like porcelain, hair that seemed to reflect light instead of catching it, and eyes that shifted color when she blinked. Gray one moment, blue the next. It wasn't subtle. It was like she hadn't decided what color they should be. The bell rang and everyone started talking, whispering. Someone passed a note asking if I thought she was hot. I didn't answer. Aria didn't move. When the teacher started the lesson, I noticed she didn't take notes. She didn't even look at the board. But every time he asked a question, her lips moved silently, forming the answer before he said it. When the class ended, I turned to her and tried to say something, anything. "Hey," I started. "You're—" But she stood up, tilted her head in that strange way, and said softly, "You watch too much." Then she walked out. I don't remember what I said in my next class. My brain felt like it had been unplugged. The rest of the day blurred until I got home. The yellow house's curtains were still closed. But as the sun went down, a faint green glow pulsed from behind one of the upstairs windows. It flickered like a heartbeat. Once, twice, then darkness again. That night I dreamed about static, white noise that filled my ears and pressed against my skull, and somewhere in it a voice whispering my name. When I woke up, my phone was on, the camera app open, recording. The timestamp said 3:03 a.m. The next morning I checked my gallery. 17 new videos, each one the same, static, No image, no sound except a low hum that grew louder near the end. I deleted them all, but even after they were gone, the phone still felt hot in my hand, like it remembered. At school, Aria wasn't in biology. The teacher said she'd transferred out already. But at lunch, I saw her standing by the vending machines alone. She wasn't eating, just watching people. Her head moved slightly every time someone laughed, like she was studying the sound. I walked over. "You weren't in class. I learned enough," she said. "About what?" Her eyes shifted, catching the fluorescent light and throwing it back metallic. "About you," I forced a laugh. "That's creepy." She tilted her head again. "You think everything is either creepy or normal. Maybe that's your problem. Maybe you should stop staring at people. Maybe you should stop pretending you're not scared." She walked away before I could respond. The crowd swallowed her, and I lost sight of her completely. For the rest of the day, I couldn't focus. Her words followed me like a splinter under the skin. That night, the SUV appeared, parked down the street. Black, unmarked, engine running. No one got out. The windows were tinted so dark they looked liquid. I watched from my window for half an hour until it finally rolled away. But I wasn't alone watching it. Across the street behind her curtains, I saw Aria's silhouette. She was watching it too. A week passed. The yellow house stayed silent. I told myself to stop caring, but curiosity chewed holes in my resolve. On Friday, I crossed the street and knocked on her door. No answer. I waited, counted to 10, then turned to leave. A whisper slid through the crack of the door. "Don't," I froze. "Aria?" The door opened a few inches, just enough for one of her eyes to appear. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "They trace heat, sound, movement. Go home." "Who's they?" She shut the door. That night, the power went out across the whole block. Every house, every streetlight dark. I stood by the window, waiting for something, anything. And then it came. A sound like distant thunder, but it wasn't from the sky. It was from the air itself, vibrating. A pulse that made the glass tremble. Behind Aria's house, a glow rose, green and alive, swirling in the mist like smoke underwater. And for a moment, I saw shapes inside it. Tall, thin shapes that bent light the wrong way. Then suddenly silence. The glow faded. The lights came back. Everything normal again, except when I looked down, there were footprints outside my window. Bare, wet, leading away toward her house. Saturday morning, I couldn't stop myself. I crossed the street again. The footprints were gone, but the front door was open this time. I called out. No response. Inside, the air was cold, metallic. The furniture was covered with sheets, untouched. In the kitchen, every appliance blinked 3:03 a.m. I walked upstairs step by step, heart hammering so loud it drowned the creaks. At the top of the stairs, her door was open. Inside, nothing but a mattress and a desk. The walls were covered in symbols, drawn in some kind of silver ink that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Circles, lines, constellations, maybe. On the desk sat a glass jar filled with water. Floating in it was something that looked like a feather, except it pulsed softly, glowing green. I leaned closer. The air around it hummed. And then I heard her voice behind me. "I told you not to come." I spun around. Aria stood in the doorway, pale, expression unreadable. "What is that?" I asked. "You wouldn't believe me. Try me," she sighed. "It's a message." "From who?" She glanced toward the window. "Not who. What?" A sound rumbled outside, the low growl of an engine. Aria moved fast, pulling me away from the window. "They're here." "Who?" I whispered. She grabbed my wrist. Her skin was cold. "If you stay, they'll take you too." We ran downstairs. Through the window, I saw 2 black SUVs pulling up, no lights, no plates. Doors opening, figures stepping out, men in suits, faces hidden behind visors. They moved in perfect formation toward the house. Aria pushed open a side door and pulled me out into the yard. "Go home," she said again, not without answers. "Then you'll die not knowing them." Before I could respond, a beam of white light cut across the yard. Aria grabbed my hand and yanked me into the trees. We sprinted through the back lots, across fences until my lungs burned. Behind us, I heard the sound of static again, the same from my dreams, building, alive. We ducked behind a shed. I gasped for breath. "Who are they?" "Not who," she said again, voice trembling now. What used to be human? She looked at me then, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. I escaped them. But they don't let things escape. The sound drew closer. I peeked through a crack. Two of the men, if they were men, swept the area with strange devices that clicked like Geiger counters. One paused, turning its head slightly as if listening. Its movements were jerky, too precise. Aria pressed her hand against my chest. "Don't breathe," she whispered. The air around her seemed to bend, the shadows thickening. The men passed by, blind to us. When they were gone, she let go. "You shouldn't have followed me." I swallowed hard. "What are you?" For a moment, she didn't answer. Then she said quietly, "A refugee." "From where?" She pointed upward. We made it back to my house just before dawn. The SUVs were gone. My mother was asleep on the couch, TV still on, oblivious. Aria stood in my doorway like she didn't know what doors were for. "They'll come back," she said. "Then stay here," I said without thinking. She shook her head. "They'll trace me." I grabbed her wrist. "You can't just disappear." Her expression softened, almost human. "That's all I've ever done." She turned and walked out into the gray morning. I watched her go until she vanished between the trees. That day, school felt wrong, empty. The teachers acted like she'd never existed. Her name was gone from attendance lists, her desk cleaned out. When I asked about her, people looked confused. One girl said, "Who's Aria?" I checked my phone. Every text, every photo that had her in it, gone. That night, I found a note under my window. Plain paper, one sentence written in tiny, precise letters. "Don't trust the quiet." I didn't understand until the next night when the quiet came alive. At first, it was the wind, soft, rhythmic. Then whispers under it, words I couldn't make out. I turned off the lights and looked outside. The street was empty except for a single figure standing where Aria used to. Too tall, too thin. Its eyes glowed faintly green. I shut the blinds and backed away. My phone buzzed on the desk. One new message, no number. Just one line, "She isn't gone." But neither are they. And then my reflection blinked when I didn't. I didn't sleep after that. I kept the lights on and the curtains drawn. Every sound outside made me jump. The hum of the refrigerator, the groan of the house settling, even my heartbeat felt too loud. Around 3 in the morning, the air seemed to thicken. The silence was too perfect, too absolute. I crept to the window and looked out through the smallest gap. The street was empty again, but the yellow house across the road was glowing faintly. That green pulse, slow and steady, like a heartbeat deep inside its walls. For a moment, I thought I saw a shadow pass across one window. I told myself not to go. I told myself to stay put, but something in that light pulled at me. Before I knew it, I was outside. The air smelled metallic, charged. The closer I got, the quieter everything became, until even my own footsteps felt like echoes in someone else's dream. The front door was open, swinging slightly. I stepped inside, whispering her name. No answer. But the house wasn't empty this time. There was a sound coming from upstairs, soft, mechanical, like breathing made of wires. I climbed, one slow step at a time. At the top, light leaked from under the bedroom door. I pushed it open. The room was different. The symbols on the walls had changed, new ones drawn over the old. The jar on the desk was shattered, the glowing feather gone, and Aria stood in the middle of the room, her back to me. She was trembling. "Aria?" I whispered. She turned, her eyes brighter than before, wide and wet. "You shouldn't have come." I saw the light. You thought wrong." Her voice cracked, the first time I'd heard it sound human. "They're close." "Who?" "The men?" She shook her head. "Not men. Not anymore." I stepped closer. "Then what are they?" She looked down at her hands. The skin shimmered for a second, like heat over asphalt. Beneath it, something moved, wires, maybe veins, glowing faintly. "They were the first ones who found us. They thought they could contain what we are. But containment changes things." "What are you talking about?" She looked at me then, eyes burning gold. "You wouldn't understand." "Try me," I said again. She took a slow breath. "I wasn't born. I was built." "But not by them. By something older. I came here to hide because this planet still has noise, chaos, things they can't track. But you saw me and now they can see you. I felt my stomach twist. You mean they're listening through you, she said quietly. Through your phone, your walls, your voice. Suddenly the house lights flickered. The air vibrated with that familiar low hum. She grabbed my hand. They're here. We ran downstairs. The hum turned into a roar, and the windows rattled as if the whole structure were trembling. I saw a flash of light outside, white, blinding, searing through the night. Then silence. The front door blew inward, splintering off its hinges. Figures moved through the doorway, dark suits, masks with blank lenses. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The air itself seemed to obey them. Aria pulled me toward the back door, but one of them stepped in front of us. Its face was smooth metal, featureless, except for the faint shimmer of symbols beneath the surface. It raised its hand and the air rippled between us. My body locked, frozen mid-step, like gravity had turned into glue. I couldn't even breathe, Aria screamed. Her voice wasn't human. It split the air like glass breaking underwater. The figure stumbled backward, cracks spreading across its mask. It reached toward her, but she slammed her palm into the floor. A wave of energy pulsed outward, throwing the walls apart like paper. I was launched through the doorway, hitting the ground outside hard. When I opened my eyes, the house was burning green. Not fire, light. And inside that light, I saw them. The suits were peeling away, revealing what lived inside. Long limbs, translucent skin, hollow eyes that weren't eyes at all but lenses, reflecting everything around them. Machines, but alive. Aria stumbled out of the door, glowing now herself, veins of light running up her arms. "Run!" she shouted. I did. We tore through the woods behind the houses, the light chasing us, slicing through the trees like search beams. My lungs burned, my feet caught roots, branches clawed at my clothes. But I didn't stop. Aria didn't seem to tire at all. She was faster than any person could be, moving like gravity was optional. When she looked back at me, her face flickered, half girl, half something else. Something luminous. We reached the old quarry. She slid down the slope, boots digging into dirt, and I followed, half falling. At the bottom, the air was cooler, the sounds of the pursuit fading for a moment. She collapsed against a rock, breathing hard. I could see the light dimming beneath her skin. "They won't stop," she said. "Not until I'm gone." "Why?" I asked, crouching beside her. "Because I still have something they need." "What?" She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small cube, silver and pulsing faintly. "This," I stared. "What is it?" She smiled faintly. "A memory. The last one left." I didn't understand, but I didn't have time to ask. The hum came again, echoing off the quarry walls. Aria grabbed my wrist. "If they find this, they'll find everything. Promise me you won't let them. What am I supposed to do with it?" "Hide it. Somewhere they won't look." The light hit us then, brighter than the sun. Aria pushed the cube into my hand. "Run," she said again, her voice breaking. "Run now." I hesitated, and she shoved me hard. I stumbled backward, the cube clutched against my chest. The last thing I saw was her standing in the light, head raised, eyes blazing gold. Then the world went white. When I woke, it was morning. I was lying near the edge of the quarry, the trees silent, the air heavy with dust. The yellow house was gone. Not burned, gone. The ground where it had stood was smooth, untouched, like it had never been there. People gathered on the street, confused. No one remembered the family that lived there. No one remembered Aria. I checked my pocket. The cube was still there. That day, everything felt wrong. The teachers acted normal. The kids joked like usual. But the air buzzed faintly, like the world was slightly off frequency. Every screen in the school flickered once, showing static. For a split second, I saw her face in it. Then gone. I skipped my last class and walked to the library. I had to know what that cube was. I found an empty corner and held it up. It pulsed when I touched it, syncing with my heartbeat. I whispered, "Aria." And the cube answered. A projection flickered above it. A swirl of light, forming her voice, faint but clear. "If you're hearing this, they didn't get it. Good. Listen carefully. They're not what they seem. They call themselves agents, scientists, protectors, but they're collectors. They take what doesn't belong to their version of order. They erase it. They've done it before. Who are you? I whispered. I'm what they failed to erase. And now, so are you. The projection blinked out. The cube dimmed, silent. I shoved it into my backpack just as footsteps echoed down the aisle. I turned and froze. A man stood at the end of the row. Black suit, mirror shades, the same kind of figure I'd seen before. He smiled, but the smile didn't touch his eyes. Daniel, he said smoothly, voice like static under velvet. We need to talk, I backed away. How do you know my name? He tilted his head. We've been watching you. You've seen things you shouldn't have. Let us take that burden away. He reached out his hand. Give us the device. I clutched the cube tighter. I don't know what you're talking about. The smile widened. Lying isn't part of your nature. That's why she chose you. Before I could react, the lights in the library flickered and all the computers powered down at once. A low hum filled the air. The man's expression faltered. She's here, he whispered. Then the windows shattered inward, glass spraying like ice. Light poured through, green, wild, alive. The man turned to face it, and his body convulsed. His skin peeled away, revealing the machine beneath. The light tore through him like a scream made of fire. When it cleared, he was gone. Just dust and the faint smell of ozone. Aria stepped through the shattered window, her eyes dimmer now, her body trembling. You kept it, she said softly. I nodded. You said not to let them... I didn't think you'd survive, she interrupted, a weak smile. You're stubborn. What's happening to you? I used too much. This body wasn't meant to hold this much energy. Then what do we do? She looked around the library, eyes unfocused. We run again. Before I could argue, more figures appeared outside, moving fast. The air shimmered. She grabbed my hand. Come on. We ran through the stacks, out the back exit, down into the service tunnels beneath the building. The sound followed us, metallic, relentless. She guided me through corridors I didn't know existed, every turn lit by the faint glow from her skin. Finally, we reached a wide chamber lined with old generators. She stopped, breathing hard. Here, she said. This is where I make the signal. What signal? She placed the cube on a metal panel. It began to hum, brighter, faster. If I can send this, others will know it's safe here. I shook my head. What others? Like me, she said simply. The hum built, rising to a painful pitch. The air shimmered with static. But they'll find you, I said. She smiled sadly. Maybe. But it's better than dying alone. The light from the cube spread, filling the room, and in it I saw things. Shapes moving across distant skies. A world of metal and glass oceans. Voices speaking in harmonies instead of words. And then it was gone, the light collapsing inward. Aria fell to her knees, the glow fading from her body. I caught her as she collapsed. Aria! She looked up at me, eyes flickering. Don't let them erase this, she whispered. Don't let them erase me. Then her body stilled. The light went out. I held her until the room was dark again. Footsteps echoed from the tunnel behind us. The men were coming. I grabbed the cube and ran, leaving her behind. When I surfaced, the sun was rising. The world looked normal again, but the air still carried that faint hum. I walked home in silence. On the way, I passed the yellow house's lot again. Nothing there. No sign it had ever existed. But I knew better. At home, my mother was in the kitchen, humming to herself. She looked up as I came in. Rough night? She asked. I nodded, unable to speak. She smiled gently. You look like you've seen a ghost. I froze. Her voice, it was calm, but behind it I heard something. A faint echo, a metallic undertone almost imperceptible. Her eyes caught the morning light. For a split second, they flashed gold. For a moment, I couldn't move. My mother's eyes flickered once, gold to brown again, too quick to be sure. She turned back to the counter, humming that same low tune. I wanted to ask her if she was okay, if she'd heard anything last night, if she remembered the yellow house. But something in the way she held the knife, still careful, exact, made me stay quiet. The world had gone back to pretending, and maybe I had to pretend too. I went upstairs, closed the door, and took out the cube. It was dull now, no pulse, no hum. I whispered Aria's name, hoping it would respond, but nothing happened. I set it on my desk and stared at it until my eyes burned. When I finally blinked, the reflection on its surface wasn't mine. It was her face, just for a heartbeat. And then it faded. The next few days blurred together. People went about their lives as if nothing strange had ever happened. The newspapers talked about a lightning strike that destroyed an empty lot. No one questioned it. The government agents never appeared again, at least not openly. But I started noticing other things and small things. Streetlights flickering in rhythm, radios cutting out when I passed, and the whisper of static in quiet rooms, like the hum of something waiting. One night, I dreamed of the quarry again. Aria was standing in the green light, her body whole, her eyes calm. She said my name, but her voice came from everywhere. I woke up to find the cube glowing faintly on my desk. The hum was back. I reached for it, and as soon as I touched it, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. Coordinates. Come alone. I should have deleted it. But something told me she was still out there. Maybe not alive. Not human alive. But existing somewhere between the signals, the hum, the frequencies nobody else could hear. At dawn, I packed a flashlight and the cube and left without telling anyone. The coordinates led me miles outside town, into the woods beyond the quarry. The deeper I went, the quieter it got, until all I could hear was my own breathing. The air felt charged again, humming with that same vibration that lived under the silence. I followed the map until I reached a clearing I'd never seen before. In the center was a metal structure, half buried, covered in vines, round and smooth like a fallen satellite. The ground around it was scorched. The cube pulsed faster in my hand. I stepped closer, heart pounding. The metal shimmered at my reflection, and then a voice spoke. "You shouldn't have come back, Daniel." I spun around. The man from the library stood at the edge of the clearing, his black suit spotless, his face unreadable. But I'd seen him die. I'd seen him burn into dust. "You're not real," I said. He smiled thinly. "Neither are you." "Not anymore." The ground beneath my feet trembled. The cube flared bright, almost blinding. The man raised his hand, and the air froze around me, thick like invisible glass. "You've interfered enough. Return the artifact." I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The cube lifted itself from my palm, floating between us. The man reached for it, and then the air cracked. Light split the clearing like a wound. Aria's voice echoed through it, not from one direction, but all of them. "Let him go." The man's head snapped toward the sound. "You're gone," he hissed. "Not gone," she answered. "Transmitted." The cube pulsed again, faster and faster. The hum grew into a roar, and the metal structure behind me began to unfold, panels sliding apart like petals opening. A column of green light shot upward, slicing the dawn sky. The man staggered backward, his skin peeling away in digital fragments. Aria's form emerged within the light, translucent, shimmering like water made of stars. "You can't contain what was never yours," she said. The man lunged forward, shouting words that weren't human. Symbols flared across his chest, glowing red. The world shuddered. I fell to my knees, covering my ears. The air was screaming, "Daniel!" Aria's voice cut through the chaos. "You have to choose." "Choose what?" I shouted. "Erase them or erase me." The cube in front of me changed color, half red, half green, pulsing faster with every second. I didn't understand. "What happens if I do nothing?" "Then everything ends," she said softly. "Every memory, every sound gone. They'll reset it all." The man stepped closer, the world fracturing around him. "She's lying," he said. "She's a contagion." "Press the red side. You'll save your world." Aria's voice was quiet now, almost a whisper. "Press the green side and I'll free it." I looked between them, the machine pretending to be human, and the alien who had pretended to be one. The cube pulsed like a heartbeat waiting for mine. I thought about the yellow house, the night sky, the hum that lived in my bones now. I thought about her eyes. I pressed the green side. The light exploded outward. Every tree, every rock, every atom of air was swallowed by it. For a moment I felt weightless, stretched thin across infinity. I saw flashes, stars collapsing, cities flickering like sparks, people looking up at skies they couldn't understand. And through it all, her voice. "Remember, then silence. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in my room. Morning light spilled across the floor. The world looked normal again, too normal. The cube was gone. My phone was blank, all data wiped. I ran to the window. The yellow house was back. Fresh paint, curtains open, a family moving boxes inside. My head spun. I rushed outside. The street smelled like cut grass again, the sprinklers ticking softly. A little girl waved at me from the yellow house's yard. "Hi," she chirped. "We just moved in." Her eyes flashed gold for a heartbeat. I stumbled back. The hum returned, faint but unmistakable. Not in the air this time, and in me. I could hear her, faint and distant, whispering through the static that threaded the world together. "They don't remember," she said. "But you do." That night I couldn't stop hearing it. Every sound, the wind, the wires, even the silence, carried her voice. The world looked the same, but there were glitches now. People's shadows moved slightly out of sync. Lights flickered in patterns too deliberate to be random. And when I closed my eyes, I could see the network beneath everything, alive and breathing. I tried telling someone once. My best friend laughed, said I needed sleep. My mom just smiled that calm smile and said, "Everything's fine." But her eyes glowed faintly again when the light caught them. Maybe she was right. Maybe everything was fine now. Maybe it was supposed to be weeks past. Life continued its perfect suburban rhythm. But at night, I heard whispers coming from the direction of the quarry. I followed them once, flashlight in hand through the trees, until I saw the faint green shimmer in the distance. The same glow as before. I almost turned back. But then her voice said, "Closer." In the center of the clearing, the metal structure was still there, half buried again, vines growing across its surface. The hum was weaker now, fading. I touched the metal. It was warm, pulsing faintly with that familiar rhythm. When I whispered her name, the glow brightened for a moment and her voice filled the air. "Hello, Daniel." I smiled, despite the fear. "You're still here, I told you. Energy doesn't die. It changes form. Where are you?" "Everywhere. In the static, in the wires, in the air you breathe. I kept my promise. They can't erase us now." I closed my eyes, feeling the warmth spread through my fingers. "What happens next?" A pause. "You help me rebuild. How?" "You already started," she said softly. "Every signal, every memory you share carries a piece of me. Every story you tell." I felt the ground tremble underfoot, faint and rhythmic, like a heartbeat syncing with my own. I mean the world isn't what it was. It's evolving. You are too." The light faded, and her voice with it, leaving me alone in the clearing. But the hum never stopped. It followed me home, gentle, steady, alive. That night, as I lay in bed, my phone lit up by itself. The screen filled with static, and then words appeared, one by one. "Do you believe in coincidence?" Before I could answer, the phone turned off. In the reflection of the dark glass, I saw her face again, smiling faintly. I whispered, "What now?" The reflection blinked. "Now," she said, "we wake them up." The lights in my room flickered, dimmed, and went out completely. In the darkness, the hum swelled until it filled every corner of the house. Outside, the neighborhood lights flashed once in perfect unison. The world held its breath, then every screen, every bulb, every device lit up green, and somewhere inside that endless pulse of light, her voice whispered my name, then silence. Just the sound of the sprinklers again, whispering through the dawn.